views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome to Public Health America, a 30-minute program on BronxNet where we talk with national experts to promote health and social justice. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. We begin by focusing on a current health topic from the COVID pandemic to cardiovascular disease. Our goal is to provide you with not only the best science, but practical tips to live a healthier life. On Public Health America, we also celebrate what studies have long documented, namely the unparalleled value of a college education by setting the stage to pursue a career of your choice, increase lifetime earnings and opportunity, and champion the ability to engage in civil debate. But for many, finding a path to college is neither clear nor certain. What if you're a high school student with supportive parents, but feel daunted by the prospect of being the first in your family to attend college? What if you're a single mother or father and want to attend college, but have no childcare? On Public Health America, our expert will also talk about decisions they made and support they received that helped them beat the odds. By sharing one or two life lessons, their stories may provide you with the inspiration and method to realize your dreams. This is Public Health America. Welcome to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. It is such a pleasure to have with me today Sheikh Musa Drammeh, the founder of Muslim Media Corporation, the publisher of Muslim Community Report, the New York Parrot, and Parkchester Times newspapers. He is also the CEO of halalfinder.com. Sheikh, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Doctor.
It's our pleasure, and please call me Bill. Sheikh, you are a renowned religious leader and community activist in the Bronx and New York City. Your work is, I think, not only wonderful, but unique for its focus on public health and safety, and also some groundbreaking work you've done with youth gangs. Tell us a little bit about your work.
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, we the Muslims, the Christians and the Jews, and I'm sure others, have been told about the importance of public health in numerous occasions in our holy books. And yet we live in the Bronx here in the unhealthiest county in the state. Bronx has been ranked 62nd out of 62 New York State counties concerning health and wellness. That is not sustainable. It should not be tolerable, and I am not going to be quiet about it. That's what pushed me to public health. Now, public safety. Again, Muslims and Christians and Jews have been told that saving a life is as if you're saving humanity. And therefore, the level of crime and violence, especially hate crimes, is something that as a religious person, I will not also sit quiet about it. Last but not least, we know that the overwhelming majority of the violent crimes in our society on the street have a lot to do with gangs and drugs. And as a parent, as an adult, as a community organizer, and most importantly, as a religious person, I will not also let that continue on, unfettered. So these are the reasons why I do what I do, spiritually, but at the same time, as a human, being, who have all the senses, when common sense, need to be manifested.
So a broad canvas for certain, and one of absolute critical importance to communities, urban centers, and to society generally. So a lot to unpack there, Sheikh. You have mentioned a couple of times Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people are in effect united and understand the significance of public health. Part of the series we're doing here on Public Health America is to focus on the enormous value of faith and promoting health, and interfaith opportunities and initiatives where various faiths come together and work on common goals. Can you speak a little bit to, I want to get to the specifics of the work you're doing, particularly with gangs and addressing hate crimes, but tell us first a little bit about the interfaith aspect of working with other leaders in religious communities. What sort of work are you doing there?
You know, we are blessed to live in the most diverse city in the planet. New York is home to people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, and all faith affiliations. If we cannot create a universal model of peaceful coexistence, then unfortunately humanity is at loss. This is where, the blueprint for a peaceful coexistence must be printed. And that is why we join forces with the Catholics, with Protestants, and with the Jewish communities and others, to letting them know that the Muslim community is pretty much new and fastly growing. Therefore, our job here as a new, rising community is to learn what works from the previous generation and implement it, so that the confusion, especially the rising hatred against anti-Semitism, now anti-Asian races, will be subdued, because we will work on what we have in common, which is 90+% to eliminate the small differences. So that's why the interfaith and intrafaith work that we've been embarking on, especially for the past 20 years, is perhaps the most important endeavor that we have ever taken.
Makes great sense. A common voice, bringing people together, stronger in that, finding that commonality and working together for, and I love the idea of a universal model of peaceful coexistence, something that I think there are just so many people across this great nation crying out for a universal model of peaceful coexistence. I can't think of anything that is more needed than that. So tell us a little bit, Sheikh, about some of the specific initiatives you're leading in the Bronx, either to address hate crimes or to reduce violence or to address issues with gangs. That's a lot. That's a great deal to take on.
Yes, absolutely. I was an investment banker in the 90s. On 9/11, I was still an investment banker with all the licenses that you can think of on Wall Street. I had my office on Wall Street. But on that particular day, I was in the Bronx working to open the first full-time Muslim school in the Bronx, and which we did. When 9/11 was taking place, we were in the Bronx opening the first full-time Muslim school. When the phone rang and continued to ring, and people are telling us, you don't know what is going on in New York. They are bombing New York City. I immediately went to the office, put on the TV, and saw what was happening. I turned it off. I came quickly, called for an emergency meeting with the teachers, the parents, the students, and everybody. I put them in the room. I said, terrorists are bombing New York City. And even though we don't know anything yet, but at the end, I would say 9 out of 10 times it would have to do with Muslim terrorists. We cannot be Muslims opening Muslim school on 9/11 and not take, full responsibility for what we must do. And on that day, we decided that the school will not close. We're going to remain open. Let the public come and investigate who we are, what kind of Muslim, what we believe. Should these terrorists happen to be Muslims, at least people will have a better perspective of what Islam is. And we never closed. The media found out about our existence, and we had as much media in the Bronx as in Manhattan. And we kept talking and talking and talking until today. That led us to the realization that in order for this world to be more peaceful, Muslims and Jews must come back to the family unit, the family bond that they had. And from 9/11 until now, one of our biggest interfaith projects has been bridging the bridge between Muslims and Jews. And we have been very effective, and there are numerous milestones reached along this journey.
So the importance of building bridges, and certainly a moment of great bravery on 9/11 to keep the doors open and provide critically needed avenues of communication. Tell us a little bit more about the school. Is it K through 12, or what can you, I'd love to learn more about the school.
Absolutely. The school is called Islamic Leadership School, K to 12, small school, but we are very proud to say that 100% of the graduates went to college, and all the graduates so far have been gainfully employed. We are very proud of the school. However, our building that housed the school was lost about 2 years ago, and we were in transition, moving from where we were to a new location. Then the pandemic hit. So our goal now here is, to reopen the school in September. But since the pandemic, unfortunately, we haven't been able to open. But it's K to 12 and fully accredited and provide all academic, subjects, in addition to, being an Islamic environment and, culturally, sensitive to the needs of the growing, Muslim population.
Wonderful. That's a great, I very much hope and wish you all the best in reopening. And it certainly sounds like a great resource to the community in the Bronx and New York City generally. About a minute left, Sheikh. Tell us a little bit about, work with youth gangs and gang violence, I think, is another critically important thing and something that you're focusing on. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing on in terms of that initiative.
Yes. Through our school experience taught us, and then we, started a program we call compounding effect. And what we mean by compounding effect is that we spend so much trying to fix adults, and the investment we're making to fix adults could have been made early on, so that we raise very successful children who will not be drug dealers, who will not be gang members, who will not be school dropouts, who will not be failures, and who will not be liability to our society. So compounding effect says, if you fix the home will fix the members. And if the members are fixed, the society as a whole benefit from it. That is what led us to say, these young gang members and crews need uncles and aunties in addition to their immediate family. And we open our center to host what we call peace dinner every Friday. And within 24 months, we were able to move over 125 gang members from gang banging into productive, a part of society. And we're very proud of it, and we're going to continue on with the same movement.
That's wonderful. The peace dinner on Friday, what a wonderful way to reconnect young people to mentors and people that will take good care of them. Can't underestimate the value of role models and mentors in the lives of young people. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk further with Sheikh Musa Drammeh about his personal journey and the role of education in his life that led to the work that he's doing in the Bronx and NYC. This is Public Health America. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. It's such a pleasure to have Sheikh Musa Drammeh here today with us, who's doing such phenomenal work in the Bronx. Sheikh, I always open this segment with the same question. Where were you born, and what were some of your formative experiences?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I was blissfully born in the smallest country in Africa, the Gambia, the westernmost part of Africa. Between New York to Gambia is almost the same distance as New York to Los Angeles. I came here when I was 24 years old, 1986. I came with an Islamic background, Islamic education. I never went to a formal education while in Gambia because, unfortunately, when I was growing up, the priority number one for most parents was Islamic education. That is what was taught to almost every child that came out of a healthy household. Now, there's a fallacy on that philosophy. The very first verse in our holy book encourage us to learn, to gain knowledge. The very first verse, not to worship God, not to love God, but to seek knowledge. And it even talks about the importance of science and the importance of every other secular subject. But because of the cultural upbringing and cultural practice, we thought that the best knowledge and the only knowledge is Islamic knowledge. I'm saying this to say that what I went through and what millions of my fellow West Africans went through is unfortunately should be discontinued so that we can incorporate secular education, which is part of our religion, so that we can advance our socio-economic status. That is why I am very heavy on not only going to school, but seeking the highest knowledge possible. That is why we made sure that our children get the best education available in the West. That is why every child in the Bronx that knows us knows that our number one promotion is good education.
Wonderful. And it's compelling, your explanation of seeking knowledge as a primary tenet of Islamic education. Makes a lot of sense. Tell us about, so you came to the US when you were 24. I'd love to hear a little bit more about, the 18 to 24 year range. What were you doing? What was your experience with Islamic education in Gambia like? What were the class sizes like? What was the mentoring like? I'd love to hear more about that experience.
Absolutely. Again, Islamic education then was not done in a class size. It was a village school. We call it a dara or madrasa, where you may have over 100 students being taught by one teacher, the sheikh. And so discipline was never, ever a problem, because discipline was not a problem. You can have 200 students still not considered, a big class. The problem we have is that when you have discipline problem, then controlling factor, then you cannot teach. So we did not have classrooms. We were taught together as a group, sometimes over 200 kids. But nonetheless, we all learned the same thing, and we were very well behaved, because it's a life and death if you become belligerent or not indisciplined. So I would say, because my parents died when I was my mom died when I was a baby, so I don't know my mother. My father died when I was about 9 years old. So from there, continue on to the school until the age of, I believe, 18 actually. And then, I moved to the capital, to become a street vendor. And from street vending, then I was able to get the US visa in 1986, and then came to New York. So I have not looked back ever since.
I'm terribly sorry about the loss of your parents at such a young age. Who looked after you after your father passed away?
Well, we live in a village. In the village, it doesn't matter whether your parents are there or not. I mean, everybody is part of the village, and everybody is part of the bigger family. The village that I went to school was founded by my great grandfather. Therefore, almost everybody is cousin to one another. So, we look after each other. Whether, I mean, as a matter of fact, sometimes you don't even, stay with your own parents, because the whole village is just one open home, to all the children.
Sounds wonderful. I know that there are models similar. Well, I'm not an expert, but I mean, I'm thinking of like the kibbutz in Israel or that there are other models and other faiths that focus on a community nurturing, the young people of that community, and that it isn't so nuclear that it is often in the West. And I'm sure that there are just so many lessons to learn from that approach, that there are great benefits to it. So, Sheikh, you come to the U.S. as a young man. Tell us a little bit about what that transition was like and what next steps there were.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was the greatest thing. It's still the greatest thing in the world. But just going back to the kibbutzim that you mentioned, I'm blessed to have visited Israel and have spent quite time in these kibbutzim and see how they run, and they are model. This is what transforms Israel, and I have no doubt it will transform the Middle East. These are people that do things together and share things, and I have very, very fun memory visiting them, and I'm planning to go back actually right after the pandemic. But coming from West Africa in the areas to New York was like, I would almost say, moving from purgatory, to paradise. I am a diehard lover of New York. I love everything about New York. I have never ever regretted or looked back. When I came here, I was not disappointed. I came and I saw what I was dreaming about, and I still pursuing my American dream in a very realistic way. I am not like those people who said, oh, I thought this was a mountain of gold. No, everything that I envisioned New York to be, New York is. And every opportunity that I thought New York possessed, New York does possess it. I always tell people the difference between, individuals is the attitude. Some people, they will come here and they think that, as soon as you open the door, everything is there. No, everywhere you live, no matter how wealthy or impoverished, you have to have the right attitude and do the right thing. And most importantly, you have to prioritize good education, and then you will, find it to be what was expected. So I am a diehard New Yorker. I still have very, very, great opportunity right here in New York. And, I still love Africa, but New York is home to me.
Sure. Well, New York's lucky to have you. And clearly great tenants. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more in terms of just how one meets the world and how one views the world, and attitudes and thoughts, just shape so much of who we are and what we do. And clearly you are a master at that. Tell us a little bit about some of the specifics. You had mentioned in the first segment that you had worked on Wall Street. What led you there, and what sort of work were you doing there?
Yes, I'm a lifelong community organizer. I started my community organizing journey when I was 8 years old. As a Muslim, we are taught healthy body, healthy mind, healthy house, healthy environment is half of your religion. Yet when I walk out on the street, I see garbages, I see filth. I was 8 years old. I said, how come health is so important, cleanliness, yet we live in a filthy? We're going to fix it. And then I organized community cleanup. So my community organizing journey began then at 88 or when I came to New York, I did not speak a word of English. I didn't know anybody, but because when you are a community organizer, you are always looking for things that should make the environment better. And I found that, the Africans who are recent immigrants coming to New York, were having hard time getting apartments. I said, this is a discrimination. Why can't we get apartments while everybody else is getting apartments? So, that led me to real estate career. One day I walked into an office, I didn't know anything about real estate, but because I wanted to help my people, I walked into a real estate office that, to make the long story short, I ended up becoming a real estate agent, very successful at it. While I was a real estate agent, I also said the Muslim community is growing in New York and we don't have banks that are suitable for us to use. We're going to open Islamic Bank. Again, that led me to Wall Street, and from being community organizing, I moved from career to career, but these careers were led by community organizing. Today, I'm talking to you because I led, one of the most powerful health and wellness movement in the Bronx called Lifestyle Lifespan. Because in the Bronx, we have over 40 hospitals and community health centers. Yet, every year we rank the last in terms of health and wellness index. So I said to myself, if we're spending billions of dollars, the healthcare is the largest employer in the Bronx. We are not getting our money's worth. We got to change it. And that led me to say it is the lifestyle. We can put all the money in the world, we can have all the hospitals, but if people have destructive lifestyle, then unfortunately we cannot change our ranking. That is why we launched 4 years ago a movement called Lifestyle Lifespan. We designed 7 pillars that comprise of the movement, and the Department of Education adopted. Last year, for the first time, April was celebrated as Minorities Health Month, where children wrote about health and wellness and the causes of Bronx low ranking.
Fantastic. Just about 10 seconds left, Sheikh. If you had to give one piece of advice to a young person or of any age in the Bronx about their education, potentially going to college, what would that be?
The difference between two individuals, two communities, two groups, two nations is knowledge. Knowledge is the single most empowering element in our life. Ignorance is our enemy. It's not race, not gender, not ethnicity, not religion, but knowledge. Those who know will always be different from those who don't know. Those who have knowledge will always have the ability to elevate themselves and their families than those who do not have knowledge. The difference and the key to success is higher education, is knowledge, knowledge, and knowledge.
Thank you, Sheikh Musa Drammeh. Knowledge is power. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in today to Public Health America. I want to thank our guest, Sheikh Musa Drammeh, for sharing his wisdom and his knowledge and his passion and his experience. This is Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. See you next time. Take care.